back, everyone. We are in Westone. Specifically, we are in Liability Brewing, and I am with Kathy. And I'm excited to bring this to you guys today. We are, when I first stumbled upon this place, I was like, I've got to share this. The first thing that I noticed when we walk in here, before we kind of hop into your store and everything, there's no TVs or anything.
No TVs.
So it's a chill place.
Very chill.
But I'm gonna kind of let you tell the story. So guys, if you guys don't know Miss Kathy, I'm gonna give her a chance to introduce herself. So yeah, tell us a little bit about who you are.
My name's Kathy Horner. My husband Terry and I, along with a couple friends, opened this place up in summer of 2018. My background previously is from higher education, so I used to work at Clemson University and USC Upstate here in South Carolina. My husband still has his day job. He's out in the software engineering world.
Okay.
But yeah, we moved down here to Greenville in 2013. Love it here. Decided to open a brewery, and here we are.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's all. And I know we spoke a little bit about. So I know that everybody is connected. I believe is it 7 degrees where everyone is connected via like some way you can get to that person.
Yes.
So before I actually reached out to you, we actually had spoke probably about a year and a half ago, and we were talking a little bit about some events, and I had one giveaway, and I was like, I'm gonna check this place out.
Yeah.
So tell me, I've always wondered, where did your name come from?
Absolutely.
Where did Liability come from?
Absolutely. We get that question a lot. We actually are asked if we are accountants or lawyers or in the insurance business, because that's what most people think of when they think liability.
Yeah.
But we actually use kind of the other definition of liability. If you go to Webster's dictionary, it talks about, we kind of think about it as sometimes you need to have something go wrong to have something fun come out of it. So that's kind of where the liability name comes from. I'll tell you a little story. So Dustin is our co-founder, and if you're ever in here on a Saturday or Sunday, you likely will see him bartending. But we used to live right next to him, and we used to do happy hours on Friday at either our porch or his, and we would just drink craft beer and talk about movies and pop culture and Star Wars and all kinds of stuff. Well, eventually the two of them decided they should get back into home brewing. And so at that point we had moved to another neighborhood, but the home brewing setup was at our place. So they would be like, all right, we're gonna home brew at noon. And then all of a sudden Dustin would be like, all right, I'm not gonna be there at noon. The wife's running late, or I'm gonna come, but I gotta bring, at that time, their 4-year-old, who's much older now. And so he just started referring to things as liabilities.
Gotcha.
The wife's a liability today. I'm gonna be late because of that. And then, so while they were home brewing, they're like, all right, let's just tell stories too. So they would tell stories from college, and they would tell stories from all kinds of stuff. And it always came back to somebody in their group was the liability for the night.
Yeah.
Somebody would do something stupid that at the time you'd be like, I just want to hide under this table. I don't want to be associated with this. But then, a couple months later, you look back and it's the stories that you laugh about. So, a friend that walks into a light post because they're not paying attention as you're walking down the street. Those kinds of things are a liability. So we ended up calling it Liability Brewing because that is what they referred to the home brewing location as.
Okay.
They wanted to check the home brews into Untapped, so it was Liability Brewing. And when we sat around, of course, on a homebrew day, we should open a brewery. The name kind of stuck. So
awesome.
It's kind of our mantra is life's better with a little bit of liability. So we try to bring those stories in. So
that is awesome.
Yeah.
See, I never would have, never in my world would have thought of that, like how that came to fruition. But that's awesome. Where you do. I used to help produce a podcast called No Rain, No Rainbows. And one thing we talk about is you've got to have that rain to kind of have that 100%. Rainbow to have that fun.
100%. You never. I would challenge you to ever come up with a story of a night out or something that you don't have somebody being a liability in it. And even we even talk about, on the website we say crazy uncles doing crazy uncle things. You've got that family member that comes over on Thanksgiving and drinks too much or something and makes a little bit of a fool of themselves, but it's always Uncle so-and-so or so that's where the name comes from.
That is awesome.
We try to live that and have this place be a lighthearted place, a place to come and have fun and just kind of chill and not take ourselves too seriously. Be very serious about the beer and your experience here, but just be lighthearted and have fun.
Which this is my first fruited beer.
Yes, so you are drinking a brand new beer that actually isn't even out yet, but by the time the podcast is out, it should be on tap. But this is a pomegranate and hibiscus saison. And I know some people get scared when they hear the word saison, because sometimes saisons can be funky, they can be farmhousey. This is absolutely not. If any of your podcast listeners are fans of our How Do You Spell Bougie, this is similar but not tart. It's not sour. So yeah, it's a fruited beer. It's 5.5%. It's called Pink as Frack.
Okay.
So another thing people love about this place is our beer names. We're pretty silly in those. So Pink, obviously from the color, and then Frack is a reference from Battlestar Galactica.
Gotcha.
Instead of saying the F word, they would say frack. So instead it's pink as Pink as frack.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Yeah,
most of our beer names have some sort of story behind it, whether it's a movie or a book reference or a pun or something.
Something, right? Okay, awesome. Yeah, because I was talking to you before. I like to drink sour beers. For those who don't know, but I saw on the board it said fruited sour, and I was like, okay, something different. And she said, well, have you ever had just a fruited? And I was like, I haven't.
Fruited saison. So here we are.
That's awesome. So I kind of want to touch on Westone a little bit.
Absolutely.
So I always tell you guys there's things to do in Greenville. There's a whole bunch of mini business parks. So Liability is actually located in one of these small mini business parks that I like to refer to. So tell me a little bit about how you guys stumbled upon Westone, how you guys got here, how you decided on this location, because they can't see, but there's a fire pit out there.
There is.
And tell us a little bit about Westone.
Absolutely. So back in 2017, when we were, formulating the business plan and getting the ideas of what we wanted to do, one thing we wanted was to be in a building like this. So I know your folks can't also look up, but if you look up, the ceilings are very high. We've got a lot of steel beams. We've got tons and tons of original windows from the building. So we were like, we need to find a really cool spot.
Absolutely.
So when we started looking, this was this actually was all kind of one building.
Okay.
So where our patio was enclosed.
Gotcha.
This was an old small engine repair. It was called Battery and Electric Co. And so we met with the folks that own this place, and they took us in and tour, and you had to really use your imagination.
Absolutely.
But as soon as we walked into this part of the building, and we looked up at the windows and all of that, we're like, this is it. We've got to be here.
Absolutely.
This is really cool. So it's a tough space to have a brewery in. We have squeezed out every inch of space in here, but we love it. So, but yeah, the rest of the building, 9 Round came in, Bee's Barber Shop, and then Palmetto Hemp Provisions. Kind of are along this side of the building, and then behind me is Moe's Barbecue and World Peace.
Yep.
And used to be Coffee on Stone, and it's now a whiskey bar.
Okay.
So we don't serve food here in the brewery ourselves, but everybody is welcome to go over to Moe's or World Peace, have it delivered over here. They can bring food in from outside. So, we loved the mix of businesses that were going to be in here. I mean, how do you have beer without pizza and barbecue?
Absolutely.
It just kind of became a really good relationship. And we love the fact that they put the fire pit out, that they opened up the space in between these two buildings so that we could have a patio and have outdoor space. So yeah, it's been a really good location for us.
That's one thing. I know when I came by in the summer, and I mentioned earlier, there's no TVs in here.
Nope.
So whenever you come by, you're not forced to chat with people, but the people who typically come by here are okay with having that conversation. They're okay with talking about, well, like, what are you doing, Greenville? What's your day look like? So that's one thing that I was really attracted to here. I came and sat at the bar one day, and there was a guy who literally was like, "You mind if I sit beside you?" And I'm like, "No, man, like, let's have a chat," So
you want to enjoy a good conversation, sit up at the bar.
Yeah,
that's the best place for it. We've got several regulars that come in, and that's their home base is to sit right there. All of our bartenders, I would say, hands down, I'd put them up against any hospitality industry here in Greenville and say we have the best. Love every one of them. They're fantastic. But yeah, come in, have a chat. If you do just want to be kind of by yourself, we've got wonderful couches kind of over there that you can be kind of away from the bus. We've got people that'll come in here and have a beer while they work, and it's just a really nice kind of calm place. We've always got music playing, but it's not overpowering.
So tell me, I do want to ask a little bit about the brewing process.
Sure.
I see right now.
Yes.
Are those hop?
That is
word?
spent grain.
Okay, spent grain.
Yes.
I see spent grain coming out right now.
Coming out right now.
Intriguing. It looks kind of like quicksand.
It very much looks.
So tell me a little bit about the brewing process.
Yeah,
I see it all
absolutely.
here.
So when you come into our brewery, first thing you will see when you walk in that front door is our brew house.
Yeah.
A lot of breweries do not put their brewing equipment right up front in the tap room, but we wanted to. So that's the first thing you see when you walk in is that brew house, and every beer that you drink here is made here on site.
Oh, awesome.
We don't have any guest taps,
Okay.
so everything is made right here on the floor. Today we're brewing Mortal Wombat, which is our flagship beer. It's our #1 selling IPA. So what happens is you start with the grain. So they build a recipe and they say, okay, we're going to have this much barley. You know, a beer might have wheat in it, might have oats in it, might have rye in it. And they put it into what's called a mash tun, which is where this grain is coming out.
Okay.
And they basically cook it.
Okay.
So they add water to it, they steep it.
You can smell it
Yep,
right
you
now,
can smell
yes.
it. So it's
It smells
extracting
delicious.
all of the sugars out of that grain.
Okay.
So if you went over and tasted that grain right now, which you could, it's just hot, it's just being
great.
cooked, you won't get much sweetness out of it. We've basically taken every ounce of sugar out of it that we can.
Yeah.
But before this grain comes out, we take what's called the wort off. So the water that the grain was in is called wort. It's basically just sugar water. We transfer it to the brew kettle.
Okay.
That's the next piece of
One
equipment
side,
right there. And the brew kettle is where it is then boiled. The first round of hops are put in for bittering.
Gotcha.
And then that process, after that boil is done, it goes to the back where our fermenters are. That's kind of, I guess, where you can say all the magic happens, where it turns from sugar water into beer, where yeast is added. The yeast eats up all of those sugars, creates CO2 and alcohol in the process. That's where, Wombat will get another dry hopping session back there. Other beers won't get any more hops. Whatever was put in the brew kettle is what it got.
Yeah.
But our IPAs, they usually get a dry hopping in the back.
Okay.
But yeah, this is called spent grain, what you're seeing
Nice.
come out of the mash tun right now, and we actually donate all of that to a local farmer.
Oh,
So a
awesome.
local farmer
Okay.
will show up here in about 2 or 3 hours, and he'll take this tub away and feed it to his cattle.
That is
So none of
awesome.
that
Okay.
goes to
waste.
none of that goes to a landfill.
Yeah. Okay. So I know. I do have a random question.
Yes.
So I was once told, and I don't know if this is true, but I
Yeah.
know you're going to know the answer. So when you guys can beers, is it true that depending on when you drink that beer, like if I had that beer today and then I had another beer 3 months from now, that beer technically is going to taste different
It could.
based off of like the yeast and stuff that
Yes.
continues to eat it? Is that correct?
Well, it really depends on the style of the beer.
Okay.
And how it was canned or bottled. So,
okay.
for example, an IPA is best fresh.
Gotcha.
The hops are going to stay fresh. You're going to get that aroma and that hop flavor. So, an IPA you want to drink fresh. So,
Okay.
one can today will taste better than one you try to drink 4, 5, 6 months from now.
Okay.
Other beers like a lager, like our Ultra Secret Enigma, which is our light lager, it's not going to change much. It doesn't
okay.
have a lot of that extra hop material in it. So from the day that it's canned, 6 months from now, you shouldn't see much change at all.
Okay.
Now, bottling is a little bit different. So sometimes when people bottle, they will put extra yeast into the bottle to
Okay.
do what's called bottle conditioning.
That might be
and
what I'm
so,
referring
yes,
to.
and so
Yeah.
with those beers, they will continue to change because that yeast will continue to eat the sugar
Gotcha.
that is in the bottle. It will continue to carbonate it, and it will kind of change over
Right.
time.
Nice.
So there are some beer styles that you might want to cellar. So a barrel-aged beer you might want to cellar and hold on to and try down the road because it may change a little bit over time.
Nice.
But anything like an IPA, anything with fruit in it, you're going to
Yeah.
want to drink
Or
that
like a
sooner.
sour.
Right, a
Sour
sour,
beer sooner.
you'll want to drink it sooner.
Gotcha.
Now, obviously, there can be things that go wrong in a canning process
Yeah,
or a
of course.
bottling process. So one thing that we try to do when we can is to keep a beer as fresh as possible, you do what's called a CO2 purge in
Gotcha.
either the bottle or the can. And you're basically just filling it with CO2 to get all that oxygen out. Oxygen
Gotcha.
is beer's enemy. That is what makes a beer go bad and have a kind of papery or cardboard taste as it ages. So you want to get as much of that out of the can, so you're filling the beer in on top of CO2, pushes all the oxygen out.
Gotcha.
You cap right on top of that, and at that point, your oxygen inside the beer, inside that can, inside that bottle should be minimal to keep it as fresh as possible.
The more you guys know.
The more you know.
Like, I would have never known that. So
I am not the packaging manager or anything like that, so this is my kind of high level explanation of it. But yeah, that's kind of the process.
So a couple more things before we wrap up. I do want to tap on the brewers that you guys have here.
Absolutely.
So how many brewers do you have? I know I met the head brewer.
Yep, so Jared Tuttle, he's our head brewer. Jeremy Cody is our assistant brewer, and he's our cellar lead.
Okay.
And then we have Candace Walters, who is our packaging lead.
Okay.
She's not currently brewing right now. She likes to focus on the packaging, so
Yeah,
she's the one
absolutely.
that gets the beer into the kegs and into the cans. So we've got a production team of 3.
Okay, awesome.
And then we've got some of our bartenders will come in and help with like keg cleaning and things like that.
Okay. All right, awesome. So, and I was sitting here watching. I was like, I gotta talk about them because the process
absolutely.
is so cool. And I think it's awesome that you can just come in here on a random day and watch everything being done.
Monday through Thursday are typically our brew days. So if you're in here, you're likely to see something being brewed.
Okay. So you guys hear that? If you guys are interested in, and you guys like brewing and stuff like that, Monday through Thursday is. And it's like you guys, when you walk in, it's all glass for the most part. You guys see it. It's beautiful equipment. It's something that you guys can definitely just stare at all day. But I do want to tap on right before we finish up. What kind of events do you guys have, or anything like that you may have kind of throughout the rest of this year?
Absolutely. So we are well known for our anniversary party and our Sithmas party. And so we've decided to develop a new springtime party. So that's going to be new for us. So on March 31st. We're going to have a Jester Fest party. So one of our logos is we call it the Jester L.
Yeah.
So if you think about jesters being the folks that were supposed to be a liability in the King's Court, they were meant to make people laugh. It goes right along with our branding. So Jester Fest will be March 31st. We're going to release some barrel-aged stuff. We're going to release some new spring seasonal beers. We're working on some face painters, some entertainment that night. We're still working out all those details, but definitely mark that one down.
Okay.
The last Saturday in July is our 5-year anniversary party.
Oh, wow.
So we close down the parking lot. We turn this whole place into a big festival. We usually have musicians. We have face painting. I think we're going to have a mobile axe throwing this year.
Okay, awesome.
And we do a lot of special releases that day. It's a big, fun party. Definitely check that one out. And then, of course, Sithmas.
Yep.
Sithmas is the first Friday of December. It is our Star Wars Dark Side themed Christmas party. And that is when we roll out a lot of our dark beers, our barrel-aged dark beers, things like that. So people ask, do you do weekly trivia, things like that? We don't typically do that here. Like I said, we like to be just kind of a chill spot. Come in, hang out, enjoy your friends and family. But we do try to do some of these bigger events throughout the year. Sometimes we'll have a restaurant come in and do a little pop-up with one of our beer releases. So it should be a good time this year.
Yeah, I'm excited for that. So March 31st.
March 31st is Jester
And you said
Fest.
the first weekend in, what was the second event?
The second event is 5-year anniversary. It'll be the last Saturday of July, which I believe is the 29th.
Okay.
And then Sithmas is the first Friday of December.
Sithmas. And you guys don't want to miss any of those, but specifically Sithmas, I'm going to say it's a good vibe.
Time.
Yeah, it's a good vibe. So
we turn all the lights red in here. The Christmas tree is decorated like Darth Vader. We had a stormtrooper in. Well, actually, he was a scout trooper, I think. In this year, so
awesome.
We try to play into the theme of the party.
Absolutely.
So, yeah.
So I will say, right before we're wrapping up, guys, is there anything that you kind of want to tap in? Anything you didn't get a chance to say? I just kind of like to give that opportunity as we kind of close up. So is there anything else you may want to say?
Yeah, so really proud to say that we became a certified B Corp in June of 2022. At that time, we were one of only 18 in the United States to have that certification. Not a lot of people are kind of familiar with it, but if you have heard of like a LEED certification for a building, it's very similar. So LEED certification say a building is built sustainably, whereas a B Corp certification says your entire business is built sustainably. So you have to go through a really rigorous process where they take a look at your business in 5 different areas. And it basically comes down to B Corps are what they call a force for good. So obviously all businesses have a profit motive. It's why you're in business. But with B Corps, what they do is they don't put that profit as the number one thing.
Awesome.
They say every stakeholder is important, not just the owner, not just the stockholders, but the community, the environment, the workers are all important, and they should all be gaining some sort of benefit from the company. So, you know, for example, with our workers, some of our employees have stock options in the company. We also have provided health insurance, life insurance, dental and vision since within the first year of us opening. Every single one of them is paid above living wage. And then like with the community, we've got partners. If I know you can't see right here, but we've got some jerseys on the wall. We sponsor some local athletic teams. We have given back to like Greenville Literacy Association, Pride Link. So we're also trying to give back to the community. And then of course environmental. Brewing does take a lot of water, a lot of energy, and it could be putting a lot of waste into landfills. Like I said, with our spent grain, we donate it to a farmer so that none of it goes to a landfill. So it's very important to us too that we buy equipment that helps us save water. That the way that we do certain processes will save electricity, save water, and things like that. So yeah, we're really proud of the certified B Corp certification.
Especially to be located in this close to downtown.
Right.
Like that must have been very hard to get.
So it is hard to get. It took us, partially because of COVID and all of that, but I mean, it took us 2 years almost from the day we started to when we officially announced that we were it. Yes, COVID was part of the slowdown, but really when you start the process, you get a good baseline of where are you. And then you have to take a look at, okay, what business practices do we want to change to be able to meet these certifications? And some we were already doing because we built the business with this philosophy in mind already. But then we had to look at their assessment and go, okay, well, that's an easy change. We can do this and get some points there. They're changing their certification process, so when we recertify in 3 years, it's going to look a little bit different. But yeah, we're really excited and proud to have that certification. You can see the little logo on our cans. If that's something that's important to your listeners, anytime they're looking at a product, look for the certified B Corp logo either on a website or on a product. It's brands like Patagonia. In the brewing industry, it's New Belgium, it's Allagash Brewing, it's Creature Comforts. So we're really proud because those are some big breweries, big name companies that were able to get it. And here we are, a 12-person team that had only been open 4 years at the time that we got it, and we were able to get that certification.
That was awesome.
Yeah, we're pretty proud of that.
Awesome. So I will say last thing, I know I contacted you before to record a podcast in here. So guys, they are very, very responsive. Where can people contact you maybe if they want to come host an event or maybe chat with you about RSVP in the space?
Just check out our website, liabilitybrewing.co. We've got a contact form on there for events specifically. We've got contacts if you're interested in working here. We've got contact forms on there for musicians. We don't typically do a lot of live music, but for that anniversary party, we do. So we get folks reach out to us like that. And then of course, on all the social media, we are at Liability Beer. Follow us there. We are very active on Instagram and Facebook, so check us out there. Okay,
well, awesome. Well, Kathy, I appreciate you coming on today and letting me interview you guys. And if you guys have sticked along this far, is that right? Stick along this far, I can barely speak. Clearly we provide a little bit of value for you guys. Go ahead and like, subscribe. Send this to somebody who you think would love to hear Kathy's story, guys. But without further ado, y'all know that's my line. We'll see you guys soon. Peace.